What's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and also hit that bell notification so you could be notified whenever I drop new content. All right, so I guess this is kind of like the first exhibition recently that I heard of that I actually was really excited for. It came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it. And it's also a fight that I wanted to see when these guys were still actually active. All right. Miguel Cotto against Juan Manuel Marquez. They're going to come out of retirement and have an exhibition. Now, I believe that this is supposed to be in mid-June somewhere. Excuse me. I checked the date before. Don't know what platform it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be on the Zone. All right. I did read an article a couple of days ago, but this is going to be a fight that's going to be, I don't know what weight class is going to be. I mean, I would like it to be at 154 because Miguel Cotto is, a bigger guy, and, being that they both been retired for some time, I know they probably gained some weight. So I would like it to be at 154. If it's at 154, it would be great because if it's at 154, that means these guys are really got in shape in order to fight. So we can get a good, decent fight. But the reason why I'm excited for this one, more so than all of these other fights that's coming out, all these exhibitions that's coming out left and right, all these guys are coming out, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I like this one because they're not far past it. Okay, this was a realistic fight not too long ago, and they're not that far past it. These are not two 50-year-old guys trying to get it on. Okay, no diss to Tyson and Roy Jones, but Cotto's only been retired for about, 4 years. And Marquez been retired a little longer than that. He's been retired for like 6 years now. I think his last fight was like 6 years ago or so. So he's been retired, a little longer, all right? And he's older as well, all right? But I like the fight. And, I think, again, this was a fight that was supposed to happen. Whenever Marquez beat Mike Alvarado, right? Lost to Bradley, beat Pacquiao, lost to Mike Alvarado. There was a period where there were talks, it was many talks of different fighters that Marquez could have potentially fought. Pacquiao 5 was out there. Miguel Cotto was out there. Who else was out there? Terrence Crawford was actually out there. People were talking about a Terrence Crawford fight when he was still down at 140, or maybe 135. I'm not sure. But when Marquez actually officially retired, it was like 2 or 3 years after we didn't see him in the ring for a while. I know he had like a surgery. He had a knee injury and a surgery. So there were periods where his name was still being brought up even though he was inactive. It's like Pacquiao now, Pacquiao has technically been inactive for 2 years, but his name is still involved heavy in the sport. So if you were around 2015, 2016, these years, you would know that Marquez's name was still being brought up in potential welterweight fights at that time. All right. And he was coming off of a win. It's not like he lost in his last fight. And he beat Pacquiao in his last meeting. So I really love this fight. For Miguel Cotto, yes, he's younger. He's fresher. He hasn't been retired that long. And, I don't think, I every now and then I see photos of him. Like I follow him on social media. It doesn't look like he completely let himself go. Like he doesn't look like he's so far past where he was before. Marquez, I'm not sure. I haven't really seen him. But Miguel Cotto lost to Saddam Ali in his very last fight. But even at that point, his name was still big. People still wanted these guys at 154, the Charlos, all of these guys. He had lost to Canelo already, but all of these top guys were still calling him out. A lot of guys at 154 were still willing to face him. And I know his fight with Saddam Ali was actually for a title. All right. So yes, he was still he was definitely way past it, but he was still pretty relevant because of his name at at the time. So I really like this fight. Um, I don't know how much of an exhibition is it gonna be. Is it gonna be a very competitive one, or is it gonna be play. I don't think these guys are gonna go in there just to play around. I think it's gonna be like a real fight. I don't know how many rounds they're gonna have, and I hope it does happen because I'm interested in it and I look forward to watching it. I hope it happens, and when I say I hope it happens, I hope there's no delays because certain fighters are not. You know how it is with boxing. People push back dates and stuff all the time. Hope we don't have any COVID issues. Hopefully we don't have any injuries, or alleged injuries, if you know what I mean. Any date delays or anything like that. But I also wish too that they're both in the best shape that they can be if they are going to fight. And that's that. I like to fight now. As far as exhibitions and these older fighters, because I also heard that Marco Antonio Barrera is supposed to be coming back now to fight Soto Caras. I'm not interested in that, by the way. I'm just not. All right, it's just I don't care for it. That Julio Cesar Chavez Senior is still actively fighting in exhibitions, and he has been for years now. My thing is, do I have a problem with it? No. You know why I don't have a problem with it? Because it doesn't affect me. Like if I'm not interested in that particular exhibition, then I just won't watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like I see that a lot of people are complaining about all of these old guys coming back, or these YouTubers or these celebrities getting into these fights and stuff like that. And I'm saying to myself, well, you know what? Well, if the real boxers actually gave us the fights that we would want, we wouldn't focus on these other exhibitions. It's that simple. And I've said this before on one of my lives. I'm like, people are getting upset that these old guys are coming back and they're drawing the attention away from the younger fighters. And I'm like, why? Why feel that way? If the real fighters were actually giving us the fights that we want to see, and they were actually active, not going 2 years without fighting, year, 2 years fighting once a year. If they were actually missing weight, delaying fights, if they weren't doing what they were doing, we would be ignoring these old guys coming back. We wouldn't care about Tyson and Roy Jones coming back. We wouldn't care about Miguel Cotto and Juan Manuel Marquez coming back. But you know why we care? Because when they were around, they were fighting the people we wanted to fight. And yes, there's plenty of top ring fighters. And I say this all the time. I wish Marquez fought Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. I wish he fought at Terrence Crawford. I wish Pacquiao did. I wish Keith Thurman and Bradley really fought. That was one of the fights that we used to talk about back then when I was on YouTube back then years ago. We wanted those fights. All right. But we didn't get all of the fights we wanted, but we got a lot of them that we wanted. Cotto fought so many people that I wanted to see him actually face. All right. And just think about it. Cotto versus Zab Judah. Do you remember where you were when you were watching that fight? How you felt that moment when, at that time, those were two of my favorite fighters. At that time, those were two of my favorite fighters fighting. I remember that moment. I remember watching Cotto fight Shane Mosley. Cotto and Shane Mosley, if you don't know, are two of my top 5 favorite fighters of all time. My top 5 favorite fighters are guys that I watch live. I love fighters from back in the day, but I only put the fighters that I actually grew up watching live. Now if we're doing an all-time favorite list or whatever, then that's a different list. As far as timeless, that's different. But I always have the top guys that I grew up watching because it's a different feeling, a different moment. It's a moment to you. It brings up a nostalgia to you. You know what I'm saying? And I remember watching Mosley and Cotto, who I was rooting for Mosley at the time because I was a fan of Mosley first. I remember going to work and one of my close Puerto Rican friends I used to work with, he was a big Cotto fan. He Puerto Rican from New York. He from the LES, and we used to talk trash leading up to that fight all the time, you know. And then when the fight happened, I'm like, oh, Mosley got robbed, you know, because I was just being bitter. But Cotto won the fight, you know. But anyway, those are fights that we remember, and those are fights that we were getting that we wanted. You know, Mosley against De La Hoya. You know, Cotto against Margarito. You know, these are the fights that we wanted. And these new fighters, they're not giving us that. So these old fighters, they're looking from the outside like, yo, I see the bag. No one's taking it. It's out there. No one's touching it. It's sitting right there in front of me. No one's going to grab it. All right, we're going to step in and we're going to take the bag from you because you new dudes, y'all not securing the bag. It's sitting right there in front of you. Yo, y'all taking money, but y'all taking safe money. Y'all not taking real challenges, you know? And we spend, as fans, we spend too much time sitting here who to blame over it. And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we see. We just not getting what we want. So now these old school fighters are coming back and they're giving fights that we wanted to see back then that we didn't get, or rematches and bringing back old rivalries and stuff. Like, they're doing it because look at what's going on. Ain't nothing going on. So when I heard about this the other day, I was very happy. Now, of course, I want to know the details, like what weight division, you know, weight are they going to fight at? You know, I mean, I want to know more, how many rounds, you know, stuff like that. But I'm happy to get it. I'm happy to see that these guys are going to fight. And I'm also, they didn't wait too long to do it. They're not that far past it. Obviously, Marquez is going to be at a disadvantage as far as age, and he's been retired a lot longer. But still good fight, and I like it. You know, and guess what? They're not going anywhere. In fact, more people are going to keep coming back. More people are going to come back because there's money out there. And a lot of people, that's another thing. A lot of people, a lot of fans, you know how many comments I've read under my videos? It's like, yo, man, I watch boxing here and there, but, you know, I'm not the fan I used to be because we're not getting the fights I want. You know, I watch the UFC now. You know, I get a lot of those, and I feel like a lot of these fans that used to watch the sport are going to come back and watch these exhibitions because they remember those times that I just brought up. So they're like, I love these fighters back then. I'm going to come back and watch this shit. Whether it's Holyfield Tyson 3 or Tyson James Toney, whoever he ends up fighting, they're going to come back and watch it because they remember them times that they watched those guys fight live. And they're going to pass on these new guys because these new guys, they act like divas, you know? So that's why we're going to get more exhibitions, older guys coming out of retirement, and we're also going to get more celebrities, YouTubers fighting each other, and they're going to be the main event. And the boxers are going to be on the undercards because these dudes, you know, I don't put all the blame on them. It's not all the blame on them. You know, sometimes I understand it's business. Sometimes it's promoters. Sometimes it's the network. Sometimes some of these fighters probably really want the fight, but they probably can't take them. But whatever the reason is, just know that, yo, there's so many options out there, man. The guys are going to come in and take the shine, man. Steal all their shine. All right. Anyway, it's again, subscribe if you haven't already, and also hit that alert button. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.